Hey guys, Bruce from VRBO Homes. If you're considering getting some kind of a rental property, maybe a cool property that you can enjoy and rent, we're going to talk about that right now. So here we go. If you're thinking maybe a lake house would be cool, maybe a house in the mountains, some land to go hiking and camping and fishing on, maybe an Airbnb property, all these different things. Hey, a lot of people are kicking that around and they're thinking right now, hey, I want to get outdoors. I want to do some cool things. This might be a good way to save on taxes, get a big tax deduction, and get some income coming in and but enjoy it too. Good thought. A lot of people are getting a couple of questions on this. So, if you got questions on it, please put them in the comments below. And also give me some feedback. What do you think about some of the suggestions I'm about to make? But we're going to talk about one is land, right? So I hear people saying, well, land is kind of cheap. Houses are crazy expensive, but land is cheap right now. Maybe you should buy some land in the mountains. Like we were up in Montana and I was thinking that, like, wow, it'd be cool for camping out here and stuff, have like a place to go to. But as far as an investment goes, land is actually a liability, not an asset. And what we mean by that is it doesn't generate any income, but it costs you money to keep. So you have insurance, you have maintenance, you have property taxes, you may have a road, a gate, different things you have to take care of. You still have to worry about trespassers. So unfortunately, land is a real loser. I mean, unless you got somebody on the inside that could tell you that there's a freeway coming through or a big mall getting built, land is kind of a tough one from an investment standpoint. Now, pure recreational and you're willing to spend the money to have that piece of land, that may work. And I'd be happy to show you some pieces of property and see if we can get one that fits your needs inside your budget. But just generally, the downside is that you'll be locked into that one place as a vacation site, right? And you probably want to go to multiple places. So this is going to follow through on some of the other things, like when we talk about a tiny house. It kind of goes along with the land. Tiny house has been a real cool, hot subject. People are so excited about them, and they seem great. The thing is, and there's a lot of them built, right here in Atlanta. The unfortunate part about it is that the zoning and regulatory agencies are really not too big on tiny houses. Not a lot of counties, not a lot of cities, not a lot of governments that are saying that, yeah, you could go put that on any piece of property, no problem. The other thing about a tiny house is it is a house. So you got to connect it to electricity, you've got to connect it to water, clean water, and the hardest one to get a hold of is you need to connect it to a sewer system or a septic tank of some sort. So that could be a real drag when you find out that, hey, that waste has still got to go somewhere. Just because the house is tiny doesn't mean it doesn't come with, some of the needs that normally go with a house. So that can be a drag, and that's going to really impact on where you can put that tiny house, particularly if you want it to be mobile. So in the line of a tiny house and along with the land, we sometimes talk about RVs and campers. Now, the difference between a tiny house and an RV or a camper is, well, an RV or a camper, they're made for you to live in on a temporary basis and to be compact. Tiny house kind of looks like a house, but it's not. It's really a camper. So it's just a more efficient way of doing camping is in the RV or the camper. Yeah, I know the tiny houses look cool. I know your wife loves them when she sees the shows, right? I get it. I totally understand it, but I'm really just talking practicality here. Sorry for being Dr. Serious. All right. Airbnb, VRBO. I hear stories about people making tons of money on Airbnb. I've looked into it. I've had clients that have looked into it. Some clients that have properties that they're using for Airbnb. I mean, it's a cool, modern way of dealing with a rental property. So yeah, the income levels could be pretty good. The snag is that Airbnb, VRBO, they charge a lot of fees, and sometimes it's a little complicated what those fees are. Other thing is that used to be you got away with sliding under the radar with these types of properties. Nowadays, the government agencies are really coming in with a lot of really cracking down. Some areas more than others. You have to check your local rules and regs. But some areas, they're really cracking down with inspections and licenses and fees and registrations every year for you to just be able to use your property as a short-term rental. You know, it used to be thought that if it was your property, you could do whatever you want with it. But yeah, some of the governments, they're not liking that. The other thing is there's the Airbnb and VRBO. They charge some fees, and some are straightforward. Some of the fee structures are a little complicated. So what they're getting out of your rental income, you might be a little bit of a surprise to you. So you got to kind of look into that also. One of the stumbling blocks that I found when I was looking at doing something like a VRBO or an Airbnb was the fact that it needs to be cleaned. Now, the place needs to be immaculate for people to give you some thumbs up and to get some good reviews on the property. And if you don't have, top-notch person that can get right in there, clean that property, turn it over so someone else can move in, could be on a daily basis, a couple times a week, whatever. If you can't do that yourself, or you don't have someone that can do it at a reasonable cost, that's going to be a real impediment to turning over that property and getting renters in and out of it. Damage, little items that go missing, some other downsides. So a lot to consider before you jump into Airbnb or VRBO. We can get further into that in another video. If that's something you're interested in, put it in the comments below, and we'll dig a little further in and show how it can be done and you can make money at it. Now, the other thing is lake house. I'm a huge fan of the lake, boating, jet skis, water skiing, wakeboarding, all that stuff is really cool. Scuba diving, love to live on the lake. Had a lake house, really enjoyed it. The unfortunate thing is we're here over Lake Lanier is kind of the major lake. There's Lake Alatoona. There's a couple others, cool places, wonderful to be at. But because they're lake properties, they were kind of the first to get developed. So the houses are generally older, and they generally have kind of unique floor plans that were designed to be cottages or lake houses. And so they can kind of be hard to live with in today's modern society. And I guess it's kind of like you got to get out and see them to really understand what I'm saying. But there's definitely some shortcomings in many of the lake homes that you see. The beautiful pictures when you see online, they look great. They're like, wow, I could get a lake house for this price. Well, when we get out there to see it, you'll find it's really not a lake house. It's like, walk a mile, you get to some muddy waters, and and for the house that you want, the price may be double, triple what you really think you're going to spend or have for budget for a lake house. Lake houses, though, are great. And if you're cool with having your vacation home be in the same spot every year, or you're going to go out there every weekend to be at the lake, it might be a good investment for you. Obviously, the demand will always be there for waterfront properties. They'll just keep going up. So those are the big strong points. But on the downside are some of the things we've mentioned about insurance. The place may be empty for extended periods of time. You have to worry about maintenance and someone who could get out there to check on it or maintain the property when you're not around. If you are going to rent it, the other factors we talked about will come into play. So there's some things to think about. And the location of that property can really matter. So definitely talk with a seasoned realtor that knows the neighborhoods, what's going on in the different areas, and can get you the right property to suit your needs. Because you may have a really wild neighborhood, or you can have a very mild neighborhood. They both exist on the lake, that's for sure. I know I moved into a waterfront house when I first came to Georgia. Great neighborhood. I got on my dock on a Sunday afternoon, and I had to hold on for dear life because the wakes from the large boats going by, you couldn't even stand on the dock. It was unbelievable. I had no idea that the traffic could be that heavy. So these things do matter, and you won't really see them necessarily in photos online. So check with your realtor. I'm here. I'm knowledgeable lake properties. I'm happy to help you out if you're interested in. But these are just some tips. Looking at vacation properties. Yeah, after having a nice July and August out enjoying vacation, you might think that, hey, this is the next piece of real estate I'm going to buy. Just trying to fill you in and give you some advice and some words of warning. Bye. So what do I recommend? What is a good option? Well, you're going to have to stay tuned. So tune in next week, and I'm going to fill you in on what kind of an option can we actually make money in, have some kind of a tax shelter, and not have to spend all of our vacations fixing up a house, or only be able to go on vacation when no one else is renting it and spend our vacation doing cleaning and repairs. All right, so tune in next week. I'll fill you in on that and show you how to make a little bit of money and get some security in real estate investing. Thanks.